Welcome to the Homebuyer Seminar. I'm Bill Gross, at Bill Gross Probate and Social Media, along with my good friends
Patricia Castillo.
and
And
Shannon the lender.
Shannon the lender and Shannon the father now.
Yes.
What's
yes.
up, Dad?
What's going on, guys? I'm wearing my pink. She's a girl, so
Girl power. You're a girl dad.
yeah, girl dad.
I'm a girl dad.
Yeah. Oh, okay, perfect.
girl
yeah.
mom.
And a girl mom. You know, my daughter is funny. My daughter has two boys, and she's pregnant, and she went to get the test or whatever to find out what the third baby is going to be. And she called me. She says, "Dad, I'm so pissed at you." And I said, "Why?" She says, "I know you were praying for another boy because you wanted boys. Because I only had one child, which was my daughter." He says, "I know you always wanted boys, so you're still praying for boys." I said, "No, honey, I didn't really pray either way. I just want you to be healthy and happy and all that." But no, I didn't. But she was convinced I was mad. I was actually praying for another boy. I will say I'm not disappointed because after raising a girl and playing with Barbies and going to Sephora and buying makeup, it's nice to have some boys around, picking up rocks and playing with spiders and all that.
Is there a reason why you didn't go for number 2
We tried. It was just, it wasn't
in the
a
cards?
lot of prayers, a lot of work. It just, the cards were dealt, and so
I'm not sure how I can do number 2 now. I thought, because I want my boy, but I don't know now. This is I don't know I'm gonna do this again.
You don't know how to do it again. Well, you forget from the last time. It didn't change. Yeah, just do it
I
again.
can have one screaming baby and a little baby. I don't know how that's gonna work. So I might be on your train, Bill. I might just have this girl, and hopefully she has some boys. So
Wait till she's two. Why do you think they call them the terrible twos? Because you can't keep
See,
up.
everyone's saying that it gets better, and then you're saying this.
I'll say that, that nice feeling when she's sleeping on your shoulder.
Yes.
You only get so many of those. Please, God, it's a lot, but whatever the number is, if you could look in the future, there's a set number of those. Enjoy every one.
Okay.
It might be 500, it might be 20. I don't know the number for you, and I hope it's more because more is better. That's like the greatest feeling in the world. But whatever it is, they're precious, and you don't realize it until they stop doing it. Like, why do you want to sleep on me anymore? Oh, Daddy, I'm too old for that. Like that, like you just crushed that day. So.
Well, I have the night shift, so I get a good amount of those right now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have nursing hours, so 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. My wife handles everything, and then from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I'm on duty, so she can sleep. So,
wow, sounds like you need to make some late night appointments, some customers to do some loan apps.
Oh
or
no,
something.
I handle all my conditions at like 2:00 in the morning. So,
You're going to become the lender that's open at taking the graveyard shift.
Yep, 24/7 lender.
For like attorneys, doctors, nurses.
I'm already doing that. I handle all my conditions at night, and then all my phone calls in the afternoon. So it's already happening.
This is why we get houses. I mean, to raise families, and you're about to find out the joy of having your own place and all that.
Exactly, and that exactly. Having a family actually does make you think about. One thing that I didn't think about, which I am now a lot, is school districts. I'm thinking, okay, well. And I didn't really think about that until I had a kid. But
Sure.
Things like school districts and where we're going to live, and okay, I'm thinking about, hey, I'm googling schools that teach Spanish and Mandarin, and I'm like, okay, I got to get her prepared now. So, yeah, where you live, where you're going to plant yourself, where we're going to plant ourselves, that's going to be very important. So, yeah, all these things come up as a new parent. So, hopefully, anyone out there who's a first-time home buyer, you're thinking about these ahead of time and getting things going. So on that note, what's
reasons, right? Where people move sometimes because their kids are maybe out of kindergarten and they're going into preschool or whatever, first grade, and they want to get into a different school district. So that's really important when buyers are looking for a home is they have kids that are still in school. They want to look at maybe a certain private academy or private schooling or the public schooling system, but they want to look at the school district too.
Yeah, and I have a friend who actually he moved to the Palisades so he can be in the public school system. He says, we're not doing private anymore, but we want to be in a very, very good public school. And so he's like, I want to be in that area. And, hey, if I'm paying a little bit more, but I know my tax dollars are going to somewhere else. So thinking about that too. Hey, your property taxes, yeah, they might be a little higher, but they're going towards things like this, right? Better school districts, better, resources for your kids, things like that. So, all these things are going into stuff like that. So when you're having a family now, I am thinking about all these things, right? So it changes you for sure. It does change you
Yeah. Look,
1000%.
we made a number of key decisions. We picked a house that was, no, we're Jewish and religious, which means we walk on holidays and on our Sabbath. So we picked a place purposely. It was 2 blocks away from our synagogue. And while there might have been nicer houses, or might have been a little nicer, 5 or 6 or 8 blocks away, we also want to be the house that kids stop by. Like my daughter's friends would come by our house. We wanted to be the house they congregated at, not having her somewhere else where we weren't able to keep in track of her. Now it's easier. We only had one child, but we had the luxury of being more thoughtful about that. And so we kind of create our house under that format. Where we live is very expensive because we live in an area where we can walk to synagogue, and we send our kids to private school, very expensive. But those are choices you make. And so compared to our prior life, where maybe we used to vacation every year at a really fancy vacation, went to Hawaii and the Bahamas, we just made a change of lifestyle, and the house became more valuable to us over time and important. Now, those are choices you can make. You don't have, you can be the victim of high prices and the victim of schools, or you can be at choice. And like you said, pick where you want to live for the reasons you want to live your life. And I'm not saying my choices are right for anybody but me, but I will say we made those strategic choices, and I look back and reflect positively that it worked out. We achieved our goals as a result. And I would urge anybody here on this call that, the American dream is not just to have a house, but to have a house in a neighborhood where you feel like you want to live your life, whatever that means to you. And I think that's
Right.
your opportunity and your choice and all that. So.
No, that's amazing, guys. So, what's been going on in the real estate market? I know the fun
Yeah.
news about Jerome
Welcome
Powell.
back. Welcome back to work, Shannon. We've been here working the whole time. What's going on in the real estate market? Welcome back to work, man. We're still working. We're still working at it. I know we had a new listing, and we had an open house last week for the first time. Patricia got some leads on that, so we're working on that. And I'm closing the house I've been in escrow for quite a while on. That closes, I think, funds tomorrow and closes Friday.
The fixer, right?
Yeah. I'm literally waiting for a guy's gonna call me here in a minute from the junk out, and once they clear out the junk out, the walkthrough was done earlier, so we're gonna we got keys, so we're I think finding tomorrow and closing Friday. So excited
Awesome.
about that.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks. So, but we got but the process still has to go, and we need to get houses on the market. We need to get listings, and everything comes from that. So, I know that on one hand, there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. On the other hand, interest rates are about the exact same as they've been for like months. It's just amazing how, if you watch the news, you would think that it's like a Las Vegas casino with the ups and downs. But the reality is, at least in the housing market, interest rates are almost the exact same they've been. And maybe with the exception of downtown LA, DTLA area, real estate still is in demand in most parts, I think, throughout our area that we work in. What do you say, Patricia?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, at the open house this weekend, I had probably about 5 groups come through. I was there for a couple hours. 2 of the buyers that came through actually live in the building and they're renting. And so they love the area. They love living in downtown, being close to everything. And so they're looking at what it would look like to buy, right? What is it going to look like to purchase and actually own their home there in downtown LA where they're already used to living. They know everything about the building. And so they love all the amenities there. And it's just a really good time right now to, there was another listing in the same building. So that agent came and introduced herself, took a look around, because when you have a listing, you want to go see the other listings, right? To see how they compare to your listing. So she came in, took a look around, was peeking over at my sign-in sheet, see how many people I had, come in. But it's been busy. And I think right now I've made a couple of videos on my social media about buyers having more opportunity. And when we started the call, we were talking about location, right? And school districts. So I had a buyer that was interested in living in Lakewood and the Cerritos area or Lakewood. But we found a home in Bellflower that they thought was going to be their home. So we opened escrow on it. But after they thought about it, they said, you know what? We really want to be in Lakewood. So can we cancel? So yes, we were in our contingency period, so we canceled. Very next day, opened escrow on another home in Lakewood, and was able to negotiate a higher credit for them on the other property in Lakewood. So we got a good amount of closing cost credit, and this is the opportunity that buyers have right now. They have the ability to pretty much get what they're asking for or close to it. You know, I'm actually in West Covina right now. I have another inspection I was at today, and this property, we were able to get 12,000 seller credit with the offer. Like just opening escrow, going in, we have 12,000. This isn't even anything to do with a request for repairs, doing inspections, or anything to that nature. So these are the times right now to get into a home, negotiate, and get most of your closing costs paid. Most sellers are going to help you right now.
I'm seeing that too on my side. A lot of my escrows credits. I would say 80% of them, everyone has credits. So that is a good point. Buyers right now, you're probably not seeing the prices drop necessarily, but when you open escrow, you are seeing sellers being way more flexible and giving you credits for closing costs right off the bat. So I'll second that. I'm seeing that a lot. 80% of my loans have some type of credit happening.
Yeah, I would say overall, the market it has softened a bit, and so when it moves in that softening, that's where credits come into play. I think sellers still are a little unrealistic, and then find they have to make a concession because they've overpriced the property. That's a very common, I think, experience. So, yeah.
So what do you,
Okay.
Shannon, where are the rates at right now? Like, what are you quoting for, let's say, a 30-year conventional loan?
Conventional, I'm at 6.5. FHA right now, I'm at 5.75.
It's good.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
they actually
5.75 for a 30-year fix and 3.5% down.
Yep. For FHA, yep. 3.5% down, 5.75, and that's at a 740 FICO. So it's like the top of the line.
Right.
Rates are pretty much about where they've been all year long.
Yeah, because usually I'm at 5.875, so I'm at 5.75. Not too crazy, but still
Nice.
Yeah, it's really good right now. So if you guys, again, like I said, beginning of the year, just act like those rates are not going to change, and like Bill said, they haven't really changed that much. But it looks like the market is softening a little bit because obviously not as many buyers, or I think there are a lot of buyers that are still waiting on the sidelines. Actually, I think they're still waiting for rates to drop lower. But if you get in now, I always tell people you want to be in a house when the rates drop so you can refinance. You don't want to be competing when when and if they drop.
Or an escrow unlocked and take advantage of it. I mean, you look at the numbers and the interest, the inflation rates. For all the talk about how crazy everything was going to be, pretty much no inflation, and we have rates now that are about 1 to 1.5% higher than they have historically been when the inflation rate is where it is now, which says all things equal. Now, if you believe that things are going to get worse, okay, then you make that prediction. But based on where data is now, rates should be lower by 1 to 1.5%, which means I think if you buy a house now with Shannon at 5.75, you should be able to think that you'd be looking at a chance to lower the rate, refinancing it, or if you get lucky while you're in escrow, because it does not appear that the opposite's true. I don't see anything. Again, if China invades Taiwan, everything changes. If Russia starts throwing nukes at Ukraine, obviously everything changes. But doesn't look like that's where we're headed, and it looks to me like the economy has inflation under control. And there may be other issues, and there's all kinds of political turmoil. But in terms of the economy, things are pretty solid right now.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of buyer demand, and it's just like Shannon said, buyers are waiting to see what's going to happen. Are the rates going to drop? Because they did mention in one of the Federal Reserve meetings with Jerome Powell that maybe by the end of the year, there would be 1 or 2 rate cuts, right? So now some of the buyers that I've talked to have asked, well, are we going to see a rate cut? Or, how low is it going to go? Right. So that's kind of a wait and see thing. But, if you can get an FHA loan, you're going to get, and you have good credit, you're going to get somewhere under 6%, which is a great place to start. Once the rates go down, then you can refinance and lower your monthly mortgage payment and take advantage of that new rate.
As long as you qualify now, that makes a good sense. And I think, so again, I'm not one to predict the future, but I do count cards in blackjack. And when there's more high cards, you raise your bet. And right now, I think there's more cards saying rates will drop than go up. And that's why I would play that way. The other thing I would say about housing prices is, I think a lot of people still think we're going to rebuild all those houses in the Palisades and the Eaton area. We're not going to build half of those houses back. There's just no way. I think there's been 150 permits approved so far, which is, if you want to give the city credit or county credit for 90 days getting organized, that's 50 a month. That's 600 a year. It's going to be 20 years if they ever rebuild that many. And so there are a lot of people who have houses that burn down, they have insurance coming, they're waiting thinking they're going to rebuild. At some point, they're going to say, well, either we're going to move out of the area, and a bunch will, or we'll have to buy something else, and those buyers will have money and ready to move. So again, I think that the cards, if you read them, there's a couple high cards in the pile still coming out right now on the side of buying. If you can afford a house now and it makes sense for you to economically buy right now, I would say this is a good opportunity because I think the cards seem to be favoring positive changes in the future, not negative. And again, I'm not making predictions. I'm just trying to read the cards that are already undealt that I think are coming up.
No, that makes total sense. That makes total sense.
Yeah, and sellers that are putting their home on the market right now, most of them are getting their price, even though they're helping with some concessions, but they're getting the price that the home is listed for. In most areas in LA County, the prices are still holding steady.
Yeah. And we're not, there certainly are real estate agents who are overpricing because they're desperate for business. And that's the thing you have to look at is when you see price reductions, that often means realtors have sold sellers to list properties at unserious prices. But in terms of what they're selling for compared to what they sold for a year ago, prices aren't dropping. They're maybe holding steady. Or if you hold steady, you're losing ground on inflation. But they're not selling for less than they sold for a year ago. They're selling for the same or just a little bit more. And in the worst cases, and in many cases, more than that. So
that's a good question. I actually got asked that from a client. I told him referred to the agent, but they asked, hey, the list price, is that the true sales price? Obviously it's not, but hey, do I go based on this? Do we bid higher? Do we bid lower? What do you tell clients that say, hey, look, what does the list price mean these days?
I did a podcast on that because one of the answers that relates to that now is this whole controversy with Compass versus Zillow versus the MLSs. Compass is trying to create a new system for themselves where they pre-market the property, but it doesn't count as on the market, and then they want to be on market, but they don't want to count as though the days they started at. And Zillow's saying, well, that's not fair. And on my podcast this week, I showed an example on the lofts that we have a listing where I put on the market 3 weeks and 9 days ago, and the other person put on 3 weeks and 9 days ago on their exclusive system, but on Zillow it shows only 9 days. And so now you really have, you should always look at how long it's been on the market at that price. But now you even have some disparity there. If it's a Compass listing, I think you should expect, because they're doing about 94% of their listings, they do this off-market thing, comes on market, you should assume there's another 3 weeks to those because that's how they're conducting their business right now. But to answer your question, I do think that the number one thing I always look at are actual closed sales. That tells you what a buyer and a seller willing to pay for a property and agreed on it. The listed means somebody wants that much for it. Doesn't mean they're going to get it. And active under contract or pending means that property is under contract. It may or may not be the list price. It might be higher, it might be lower, depending on how long in the market it was. In general, if a house has been on the market for 30 days or more, you should assume that it's in escrow for about 5% below the list price. At that price, 30 days or more at that price. So they can list it day 1. Day 20, they lower the price, it goes in escrow. Well, now you have to look at that price, not the original list price. So again, these are things where you need a professional agent to walk you through kind of the comparables and what the data means. But the good news is, I've been in this business for 40 years, we have more data available now than ever for buyers to look at things. And a lot of the old ways don't make sense anymore because we have real data that we can actually compare to. Patricia, you must explain this to customers all the time and buyers. How do you explain days on market and list price versus what they should offer?
Right. So I do the research and I show them what the comparables are. And one of the things that you can't see as a buyer, if you're looking on Zillow or Redfin, you cannot see the details of the concessions that the sellers paid at the closing. So that's one thing that I also look at is what were the concessions that were paid behind the scenes, right? Because it's not open to the public eye. It's only for realtors to see.
Right.
So I show my buyers, okay, this is what this house closed at. This is what it's, it was listed at this price, sold at this price, and this is what the concession that was given. So that gives you an indication of the temperature for that market, right? Are you going to be able to negotiate on the price and maybe instead of getting a credit, maybe you can lower the price by $5,000 or $10,000, or you use a credit to pay for your closing costs, right? So that's what I look at, and that'll give me a good indication of the market activity for that neighborhood.
That's a good answer.
Well, I think I have to wrap up here, and we've gone about 10 minutes. But I just want to share something real quick if I can. This is our 172nd episode of this podcast.
Wow.
I was going to ask you how many it's been, but I want to kind of move things along a little bit. I didn't know that, Patricia, and I know, Shannon, you came in partway through. And I ran the stats, and we've had just on YouTube, over 4,000, over 3,900, almost 4,000 people have viewed this podcast, a total of 240 watch hours of this podcast. And so I just want to say on behalf. I'm sorry?
That's not including my views on YouTube.
Not including your views on YouTube, and not including Facebook and LinkedIn and your Facebook and everything else, just on YouTube. So really, this has been a fantastic experience. I'm not saying this because we're quitting. I'm just saying I noticed these statistics. I want to just say thank you to Patricia and Shannon and all those who watch and support us. Really appreciate you guys so much. And if you like it, please let us know. If there's something we can do to make it better, please let us know. Your suggestions, questions, please engage with us. We'd love to. Patricia, if someone get a hold of you to buy or sell property, what's the best way?
My cell phone, 323-365-9909.
Okay, and no more fun with Shannon. Shannon, if someone's get a hold of you, what's the way to get a hold of you now?
Yes, no more fun. It's going to be kid time now. But my Instagram is FUND with Shannon, or my cell phone number is 661-317-8484.
Fantastic. And you can ask him about the fantastic microphone he has there, high tech he's got to match his shirt. I'm Bill Gross, at Bill Gross Probate on social media. Thank you so much, everybody, for supporting us. We appreciate you. We'll see you soon and make today your best day ever. Thank you so much.
Thank you.